happy Sunday and welcome back. I think that was probably our longest hiatus we've ever done. It's been a whirlwind, but we are so glad to be back with tonight's We Are Back party. That's pretty much all that's going on right now. No real theme. We just wanted to catch up, see what everyone's been reading, if anyone made any real progress on the bingo card, which I forgot about.
Me too.
Immediately forgot.
Usually I'm so excited about them. I love the bingo cards, and this one, my brain was just like, nope, not taking on anything else. So,
I think it's like a real testament to the fact that like goal setting only works for me in short periods of time. Like if you tell me you have a year to do this, like I'm gonna forget about it immediately.
Me too. I remember one of the bingo card things was to buy a notebook, and I bought a notebook. Because my what are these flowers? Hydrangeas. My Bake Off in Hill House book, the house is called Hydrangea House. So I got one that's ghosts and hydrangeas.
Perfect. I was gonna kick off with like looking into like how we all did. I don't even know where the card is.
I don't know.
So if anyone's watching and played, please tell us how you did. Yeah. All right. So instead, the theme of the bingo card would be like refilling inkwells, doing some creative projects. So we're gonna go through, and I want to hear something you did over the last 6 weeks, anything at all that made you feel remotely creatively fulfilled. All right. Yeah, Megan, we're just gonna start with you. You're gonna go.
I've been looking into the story graph this week. This is like a tail end of hiatus thing. There's supposed to be like the non-Amazon alternative to Goodreads, and I have been very impressed with their app. It's been really making me want to read more. They've got like a buddy reading function that looks so fun. They let you import your Goodreads library, so you don't have to re-input anything. I just had to go like download an Excel file and upload it into the story graph, and they give you little charts. They give you charts that break down all of your reading, and it is so cool. I can look up like this year, what have my genres been? What have the moods been of all the books I've been reading? How many pages did I read each month or year? It is so cool.
I signed up a while ago, but it was just like lonely without all of you. So
I've never actually heard of it. I just pulled it up and I'm seeing all the graphs, and it's making me very excited.
Yeah.
I made a video for the story graph on the channel.
Really?
Not long before we stopped doing videos. I definitely interviewed the two creators. I'm not sure if I did it for us or for For the Words, but I think it was for us. But yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. I just didn't want to do it by myself.
Yeah. So if there's like I think there's a friends function. So if anyone is on the story graph, let me know your username or link or whatever. I would love to buddy read with some weird nerds.
Yeah. Kaylin, how about you?
I would say that creative-wise, I've been doing a lot of crocheting, but something that's made me feel like fulfilled is, unfortunately, I was recently laid off, and I don't want to toot my own horn, and I really can't because I haven't actually gotten any interview requests with it yet, but I am very impressed with my resume and the structure that I've created for it. It remains to be seen if anybody likes it other than me, but resumes and cover letters. I think the last time when I actually applied for the job that I just got laid off from, you guys were the ones that helped me like structure my cover letter that ultimately got me that job. And I've been using that same structure too. So We'll see what happens, but mainly it's just been a lot of just trying to relax. And now that kind of like the reality of everything, it's just kind of like leveling out. I'm trying to pick back up on things that I kind of let slip away. Like I've been reading The Midnight Library for like a year and a half now. It's not that it's a bad book. I read a couple chapters and then life happens, and it's like, what are books even? So I'm definitely looking forward to getting more into creative stuff over the next few months.
I feel like that book would be an interesting like book club because I have feelings about it.
I also
mixed
have
feelings,
strong feelings.
Yeah, me too. So far, so good. But I have a feeling that there's still a lot more left.
The like path of my feelings about that book over the course of like before reading it, after reading it, are like all over the place.
I don't remember having super strong feelings, and I'm so
No,
curious.
I don't either. Is that the one about the woman who jumps into alternate versions of her life? Yeah.
Right
Okay.
before, her imminent death.
Before reading it, I had one feeling about the book. While reading it, I had another feeling. And by the end of it, I had gone back to my original feeling about it.
I did have a feeling, but I don't know if I could expand on it for a full book club.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I felt like my feeling was that it was overrated. So like I said,
I think it just
overrated,
wasn't for me though. Like
Let's
that
do this
style
now.
of book. It's
Yeah.
not for me.
New title. This is
The Midnight Library.
Okay,
Close.
we're
This is
gonna
a
open it
Midnight
up to, like,
Library hate club.
getting through the questions because this will like transition nicely to more channel-y.
Kelly's like, wait.
you don't have to wait for a different week. Just like 5 minutes. Erin, something creative you did. Erin, something creative you did.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to say it's creative necessarily, but something that I'm finding kind of inspiring and bringing back some of my like exciting ideas / exciting vibes thing is I just started watching What We Do in Shadows, the TV show. I feel like I'm like so behind on this TV show. But I think
We
I'm
can
like
talk a lot about this too.
Not right now.
I'm already more than halfway through the first season, and I'm just really enjoying it. How like it's so funny and it's lighthearted and it's I don't know, and it's like that kind of ridiculous gothic vibe that I used to love. I still love so much. So yeah, that's giving me lots of feelings. So that's good. Yeah.
I have like a couple things. Like one, I've watched a lot of TV in the last 6 weeks, I feel like. But one thing I'm kind of like proud of is that I looked it up and I read 6 books in the last 6 weeks, which
Dang.
considering the fact that
Nice.
I'm like 6 books behind and my goal for the year is good. Because I had really like, I feel like I read a lot at the beginning of the year when we like did our last bingo card. And then like after that, just like really slowed down until the last few weeks. So that's been good getting like, there's like a bunch of stuff I had started that I've like finally gotten around to finishing lately. So.
Excellent. I don't know if this counts. It's not remotely creative, but I'm enjoying it. I got my rock tumbler a couple days ago.
Ooh,
So I haven't like there are rocks tumbling now, but I haven't actually like seen any results. But it was fun. Like Matt kind of challenged me, like, okay, if you still want it a week from now, we'll have this discussion. You still want it a month from now? Like how interested in this are you? But I held on and we got there. So I learned some things about rocks. We live right on the water. And it's all rocky beaches, so I just get to like walk through my yard and be like, "Is this an interesting rock?" I don't know. They all. I'm hoping to learn as I go, and like I took pictures of before, and I'll see what turns into something cool. But like the idea of being able to check in once a week and just like get little dopamine hits on how it's all doing.
Oh, that's cool.
My son is also really into rocks right now, so you guys could like hang out and have some fun
Compare
together.
notes.
He can bring you some rocks for your rock tumbler.
Please do.
That's very cute.
So yeah, the book clubby discussion over the course of the hiatus and why we kind of doubled the hiatus is I'm not even sure how to phrase this. We're just kind of up in the air on where we're going with the channel and what we want to do and how to make it as much fun and not stressful as it can be. Because we're really just like, we have our regulars who we all love and we love hanging out with you guys. But talking about writing is stressful sometimes and it feels like there's not a lot of things we haven't covered. So we're just kind of mulling over how this is all going to look. And if we're not totally sure book clubs are going to be a thing we keep doing, I feel like we're going to keep doing game nights and maybe pick up the pace on those a little bit because we're just the no pressure, having fun, just goofing around together is what we all enjoy the most from this channel. And we are determined to get to our 10-year mark, which is still just over a year away. So
we're so close to it.
And it feels especially nice talking about this here with 5 OG word nerds.
Yeah,
We've come such
really.
a long way, but we're still here. So the channel has evolved so much over the past 9 years and is continuing to do so just in a more aggressive leap right now. So
Yeah, I think in this week's, so Aaron and I over hiatus, another thing that I've been finding really fun, we launched our project Spoiler work in progress, where we're writing a book together and doing almost all of it on camera. And in this week's episode, I kind of talked at length about that feeling of like, it doesn't feel good to be going back through and like, well, what's something we haven't talked about in a while that we can talk about again? And so, yeah, definitely a lot of reevaluating like what we are bringing to the table and making sure that it's not just, you know, the same people log in and then hear us say the same things over and over again. And yeah, just having a good time, just being friends on the internet, talking about stories.
We talk sometimes about like when you're like revising a book, like realizing when you're just like making changes for the sake of making changes versus like making changes for the sake of making it better. And I feel like it can feel that way sometimes, like we're making chats about topics to make chats about topics, you know, and like, do we really need to discuss this again?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, in some ways, I guess rehashing certain topics we talked about a while ago can be interesting if we have changed opinions on it or things.
And if
have been
we're
updated,
interested in talking about it.
Yeah.
Versus just like, well, we haven't talked about this in a while. I guess we should.
Guess we need a topic.
Yeah. So like less lecture-y / workshop type classes, because those are also just an enormous amount of work for whoever is running those.
Yeah. And not none of them ever again. Just
when we're feeling excited about it. Like
Yeah. And I was going to say the same thing about like book club, is I feel like the most successful book clubs where like the most of us have read them and things have been ones where like what just happened, where like Kaylin said, I've been reading the Midnight Book Club, and Megan and I are like, we have feelings about it.
I
Like,
would love to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because I do think it's really well written, but like it
and
just
I think
wasn't for me.
It's an interesting book to talk about, because like there are a lot of like mixed reviews about it. And so like I feel like books like that where like one of us read something and we're like, oh, this would be really good to discuss, and everyone else got excited about it, or like a few people already have read it and have feelings about it. I feel like that's a scenario where we might still do a book club and say like, oh, we all have a lot of thoughts about this book that we recently read, versus just being like, hey, we picked this book that like none of us have read yet, or only one person's read, like everybody has to read it by this date. Like a lot of us don't do so well with like, you must read this book by this day.
Book club lightning rounds from time to time of like, we pick a bunch of books and we have like 5 minutes just to get all our feelings, and we go to the next page.
Yes.
And if someone hasn't read one of the books, it's not a big deal, because the next book will be there in 5 minutes. And
that would be so fun.
That would be very fun. Yeah.
And especially with that story graph thing from like the TikTok that we saw, where you would be able to like make comments about a book, but you can't unlock that comment until you also get to that progression in the book too. I think having that kind of running in the background is something we could definitely like discuss, because there's no pressure in everyone having to read it by a certain date. Because I think for me, my biggest thing was I started to get discouraged because I felt like I had this bias about the books that we were reading for book club, because I always wound up not liking them for some reason. So like I always had to come and like everybody's talking about how much they like this part, like that part. I'm like, I think it's because of that stress of, okay, I need to read this by this date. And usually I read it way early and I can't remember a lot of it, or I literally finished it like an hour before we went live. And it was just that stress of, okay, I need to finish it, and not, hey, I want to finish it.
It also
so having that story graph, I think, would be great.
Yeah, it means sometimes you're like pushing yourself to finish a book that like you may actually like, but you're not in the mood for it, you know, like where if you read it at a different time, you might like it more.
Yeah. I'm doing something like that story graph thing where any viewers who want to take part in the book club can also participate. That way would be fun. Through all of this conversation about like mixing up the channel and whatever, we're all just like, we don't want to let down the people who have been here and keep showing up every Sunday and who we love chatting with. Like, we don't want that to go away at all. So please feel free to throw your feedback in at any point during all of this discussion.
Yeah. When we started the channel, it was a very narrow focus. It's just like, oh, we're going to talk about young adult books because that's what we're all going to write, and we'll never change our minds. And surely if we did, YouTube would let us change our user handle. They did not. And so then we broadened to like all books. And I feel like this is just another example of us broadening into the nerds side of word nerds, like anything that we feel nerdy about. It's like books. We want to do some video game chats, talking about games we're liking, talking about shows that have been really making us feel creative. The things that we like spill into talking about when we're off air, like the second we're off air, it's like, oh, did you watch that episode of this show? Like the things that we're really excited to talk about. Oh. And Griswold said, I promise I will keep showing up as long as you're offering your time. And Misty K said, me too. And Andrew said, me too.
Oh, you all are our, like, main source of like keeping going. You guys are amazing.
And so I think there is, and Griswold, you mentioned, like, don't want you to feel pressured to inspire and entertain us. And I feel like I appreciate you saying that, but I also feel like there is an element of like, I do want to make sure that we're inspiring and entertaining you. And if we're like rehashing old things, I don't want it to ever come to a point where anyone feels like I have to show up to watch the Ordiners because I support them and they say that their mental health is relying on me right now or something. Not really, but
well, we're also here because we like talking to each other. Like, we are genuinely friends with one another and enjoy each other's company and you guys' company, like the people watching and commenting as well. Like, we're here because it's fun.
Yeah. So. And we want to keep it fun for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
For as long as people will have us.
Or longer if you won't have us to 10 years.
We're just going to be here forever.
We will make it to 10 years.
We'll make it a minimum of 10 years.
At least.
Cannot tell us you're sick of us until then.
Hold out for the decade.
Yeah, we filmed a time capsule video. What was it, like a year and a half, 2 years ago?
I think it was around 5 years, maybe.
No,
the 5 year mark.
It was more.
Can't have been 5 years ago.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean 5 years ago. I meant like when we met our 5 year anniversary. But maybe it was after that.
So the time capsule is supposed to get opened on the 10-year.
Oh, that's when it is. We made lots of predictions that I feel like some of them have already happened.
None of mine have happened.
I don't remember.
I think about what I was supposed to achieve all the time.
I don't remember some of them, but I do remember us being like, I think we'll stop doing weekday videos. And like, that has happened.
But that kind of
we were already talking about doing that.
Yeah. Is that really
Exactly.
a prediction if we are the ones that have control over that?
Okay, fine. Thankfully, I don't remember anything that we speculated about.
No,
so.
I have no idea, so it'll be fun to watch.
I remember someone speculated that I would have a job in which I got to wear blazers. And I am staring down the barrel of 3 more years of school. So
you could wear blazers to school.
No one's stopping you from wearing blazers.
But they won't pay me to wear blazers to school. They'll just be like, wow, that woman is much older than everyone else here.
They would just think you're very distinguished.
Yeah.
That's
Very
what that
distinguished gentleman.
So many companies have like very lax like guidelines now for dress codes. So
yeah, I've
you
never
can still
worn a
wear
blazer to my job.
definitely, but I don't know if it'll be required much longer. Especially in tech. In tech, they don't really care what you wear as long as you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, like if we do migrate over to the Storygraph a bit and like have other viewers who are in there, like so we can kind of keep track of what people are reading. It's one of the big things that's changed since we started the channel with book clubs is there's less like books of the moment now that everyone has read. Like there's just so many more options and there's less pressure to read stuff that came out this year. So we're reading across just a huge spectrum of books and there's still a lot of crossover, but it's not as immediate as it used to be.
Yeah, and I think most of us have like really expanded what we read too, which also like makes it even, it's not even just like, oh, well, what are the big YA books? Like we're all reading so many things at this point. So.
Mm-hmm.
And there's definitely like shows in particular that every year there's a couple that most of us have watched and have strong feelings about. So it'd be great to get to talk about those. And still from the storytelling is still a big part of the discussion and breaking down why things work. And there's still a lot that we can learn from the writing side. It just kind of broadening how we get there, I guess.
Yeah.
Watch out for a Stranger Things.
Yes.
soon.
I have been rewatching in preparation.
Yes.
And Jada mentioned liking watching the evolution of us, but also wanting to still see us writing and discussing where we are in that evolution. And that's definitely not going anywhere. Most of us are still writing often and still actively pursuing publication. So you'll definitely still hear from us on that. And we'll still do write-ins and stuff. Still
talk about our own journeys can feel a lot more organic than always feeling like we have to be teaching, of going into it from a more lecturely perspective and breaking down common whatevers, whereas this is what I'm dealing with. So yes, I've also gotten sidetracked by trying to make this go away.
Yeah.
So distracted.
And honestly, I would be lying if I said that this kind of thing, which doesn't happen often, but is a very exhausting part of being on YouTube.
Yeah.
The community is really great, but then every now and then
Yeah.
I do a chat like this.
What is happening? Yeah, it doesn't happen often, but sometimes. I think part of the reason I liked not doing the weekday videos was that occasionally you would get not necessarily
Personal
comments.
comments.
Yeah. On your appearance and stuff. And it would be okay. Not related to writing.
I have something that we've been doing with Project Spoiler is we've been posting videos as premieres, and we are going to be implementing those every now and then on the channel as well too. It's been a lot of fun to have a video up that while it's airing, you can just go in and chat with people in the chat, just hang out.
Yeah, so the plan is still we do those. We'll still be there, just chatting with you live, and also the older videos. It's not like we're just kind of putting it up and bouncing, but getting to kind of real time discuss things with all of you is a lot of fun.
And I think we talked during the hiatus about that would be a particularly good format for things like book clubs or talking about a TV show or something, because then we can record it on a day when the people who have read or watched that thing are available. Because sometimes that's been the issue where we have people who have read the book and are excited to talk about it, and then something comes up that Sunday and they can't come, and so that would help with that a lot.
Help that, yeah. Which would make it so we can talk about books even more. How has everyone's writing been going? Let us know in the discussion section. What are you working on?
That's actually something, speaking of chats we actually want to do, that's something that I want to do more of, because I think that's a really casual, fun thing to do, is do check-ins, sort of. Just what are you working on right now? What's inspiring you? How's your writing going? Is there anything new you've learned about your writing process? And have it be really interactive with people in the comments. Because that's one of the things I like the best about this channel, I think, is learning how other people do the writing thing, how what their processes are what they do, what they don't do. I pick up tips about writing processes and things I've implemented myself from people in the comments and that. So I really like stuff like that.
For sure.
One thing we've discussed a lot during a hiatus is write-ins and potentially the structure and how all of that works. We've talked a little bit about less prompts, maybe more running write-ins like we do when we're offline and doing, we call them work parties together, where there's not necessarily a timer, but we're all just kind of, think of it like writing at a coffee shop with your friends, of you're working, but conversations break out. It's a little less structured. So we haven't really landed on anything there. It's just, and I suspect we'll end up trying different ways and just
Yeah,
having
Erin
a
and I, on Monday, we did a work with us. That was
Yeah.
really fun.
It was really fun. It was very casual. We warned people in advance that like you're just working with us, you're writing along with us. We're not doing any prompts. We're not doing, timed sprints or anything. And we kind of just paused to chat kind of just whenever we felt like it or whenever something came up. And kind of commented as people commented throughout the process, replied to them and stuff. And it was really chill. And yeah, it was probably my favorite writing session we've done just because it was not organized at all, which I prefer.
It gets a little
out.
more sporadic, like when we've done bigger work parties. Like sometimes it's just been like silence and nobody like says hello or goodbye because they don't want to break the silence. They just pop in and out. And there's other times where it's mostly talking, or like as soon as someone sees that someone else is on Snapchat, we all just start talking. Oh, they're not actually working either. That's great. So
yeah, that's true. So yeah, doing more stuff like that would be really fun, even in an impromptu thing, like, oh, this Sunday, let's do a work party. If, somebody who's supposed to host isn't going to be able to, type of thing, then no one has to host.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll open up the like opportunities for the viewers to come along too, because when it was the prompts, it was more specific and it was more geared towards like actually writing fiction. But I know like a lot of the times Rachel came and she was working on like essays for school,
Yeah,
homework and stuff
totally.
like that. So it wouldn't necessarily be something, hey, you have to focus on this prompt, and it's just more super leisure. Let's write for this long and then reconnect at some point.
Yeah. Even if you come and bring your, I don't know, your knitting project or whatever, it will just be like a sit down and work with us time,
Desiree definitely wants to just like hang out and play video games. So
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great to me. Just hanging out with friends.
We had a comment from Musical Book Dragon about being able to set up your comments so people have to have been subscribed for a certain amount of time to comment.
Oh,
so
that's
I'm trying to
smart.
find that now, but if you like have a link, please send it our way.
Please, for the love of God.
I'm finding ways to be like more strict. I don't know what that
Mm.
entails, though.
Yeah, that's smart. I don't know what
I've
that means.
increased the strictness for now, but it doesn't say
Oh.
what that means. So
Increase the strictness? Is that really like a setting?
it was like check a thing to increase strictness of holding for review.
Okay.
at this point, like we could easily have like a clear list of these are the people that we know that can comment. Megan has definitely talked before about like once we hit a certain milestone, if only we could just like we don't want any new friends. Please stop showing us.
Locking you all in with me.
Yeah, Amelia says plan on writing during July Camp Nano, but it hasn't happened.
Yep.
I'd forgotten it was Nano. If that gives you-
Same.
I thought the same thing when I read
Yes.
that comment.
I was
I am
excited
writing
at first.
but-
I was like, oh, I'm laid off. I could actually win Nano. I haven't won Nano in years. And then it was like, I'm sorry to hear that your friend passed, Amelia. And it was a lot of the same like medical issues happening like in my family. Like, well, I forgot it was Nano until about 3 days ago. And I'm like, should I? And I decided that I shouldn't. And I didn't.
Well, Megan and I had planned like in advance that we were going to do specifically for camp. We were going to do, the work parties or whatever. And then it was like a week or something into July by the time we were like, oh, I guess we
Oh crap, it's July.
we should maybe do that like we were planning to do. Whoops.
Yeah. I've been working on revisions for a book that I'm hoping to start querying in the fall.
Yeah.
And I had it in my head yesterday. I was going to have a huge writing day. It was going to be so good. And then I had 15 new scenes I needed to write, and I really wanted to get at least half of them. And I only got 5. And that's a lot of scenes, but I came home and laid on the floor anyway about it. Like the revisions will never get done.
5 is better than 0.
I was going to say that is really
That's
good.
insane.
5 is like a good day for me. I don't know how.
They're short.
Okay, I guess.
So it's not like 10K words or anything, but
Mm.
I had a goal setting crisis.
I think that we are often way too hard on ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Because I hear other people's progress and I'm like, dang, like you did so good. And they're like, I meant to do 15.
The problem is I want to be done with the new scenes. I don't want to have to do them anymore. I want to print out my little book and color code it and feel like I'm making a lot more progress.
I know I'm going through panic a little bit as well because I bought giant cue cards, which was very exciting and made me feel productive. But I am now realizing that all I did was buy giant cue cards, and that's not really that productive. And I have started writing scenes out.
Disagree.
I have started writing scenes out, but I'm like, I haven't started these edits yet. I'm just writing things on cue cards.
And Griswold has a Kelly book rec.
I'm excited.
What is it? What is it?
Okay, I'm going to say this before I hear the book rec because it's a little more of a downer, but seeing Anne Griswold and Amelia talking about loss and writing and all of that has definitely been a big part of what, like, the pandemic has just been all downhill for my family. It's been a lot of bad, and it's been really hard to write, and that's a big part of why I feel awkward talking about writing because I have not done it, which isn't true, like Erin's saying, of like being too hard on yourself. I wrote during last Nano. I wrote during the Nano. I haven't written nothing, but it doesn't feel like it used to feel right now. So trying to be forgiving with yourself and not put too much pressure on it and suck all of the joy out of something you love is super important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think you see a lot of people talking about like, oh, well, you write through the pain. Like a lot of people talk about like, oh, I wrote through and
Disagree.
it's a neat process.
Yeah,
I'm like,
sometimes
hard
you can't.
disagree.
Yeah.
Hard disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have the same strong feeling about people that try to tell you that either you write to like soothe your anxiety and get it out of you, or you write because you're anxious and then you automatically produce something genius because of your mental illness. Whereas when I'm having it really bad, I can't write at all. Like I will go for weeks without because I can't concentrate. So yeah, I imagine it would be the same with grief. Like your mind is so occupied by this thing. How are you supposed to turn around and create? You know, so
yeah, and it does work for some people.
For some people, yeah.
I'm glad that that's an avenue for some people. I know for me, I lost a family member in 2020. Did not write anything until 2021. So yeah, I hope you're being gentle on yourself and yeah.
Megan read all the books, and that's
I read a lot to cope. That helped me a lot actually. So finding something that helps you sit in those feelings and like not being too hard on yourself for not doing all of the other things.
I think it's crazy that as writers and artists, we are expected to, you know, not only try to get through this like thick molasses of grief that wants to hold us down from doing like normal everyday life things like showering, but we're also supposed to turn it into something brilliant and like actually sit down for hours and hours and create something. Like that's really an unfair thing to put on anybody. Like if it works for you, amazing. But that I think is an outlying situation. So yeah, don't put that on yourself.
I have added the cherry robbers to my.
Yeah,
it does sound really good.
I'm not concerned at all. Like bring on all the scary books. It's just like things that I'm watching where things can jump out with loud noises that I don't like. In a book, you can't sneak up on me. I'm good.
Cover.
I love a good horror novel.
I'm reading, what's it called? It's by T. Kingfisher. I'm reading What Moves the Dead. It's a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, that's the new T. Kingfisher book,
yeah,
right? It sounds really good.
It's on Scribd, so I'm listening to it there, and it is really good so far. I think I'm like almost halfway through, and I'm quite enjoying it. And I also feel like I'm mentally preparing because Mike Flanagan is also retelling The Fall of the House of Usher. So,
Bly Manor guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That does
He's
not
got-
surprise me.
The Midnight Club is coming out in October. And then Fall of the House of Usher, I assume will be next year. I think they like just wrapped filming.
Mark Hamill is in it.
Mark Hamill's in it.
Yeah, I feel
That's
like
crazy.
any Mike Flanagan things you can expect we will be doing chats about.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Moving forward.
Definitely.
Has anyone watched Marianne? My
What's that about?
sister-in-law recommended it to me. It's like I think it's in French. It's a horror.
Is that the one about the novelist?
The horror novelist?
Yes,
Ooh.
that is
Monsters come alive.
brilliant.
Like,
That was such a good show.
I am just now starting it. I haven't watched it all yet, but I'm very excited.
I got massive queer vibes from the author and then was disappointed.
Aw.
But yeah, that was a good show.
Sorry, I got sidetracked trying to like Storygraph is set up to like import Goodreads, no problem. But like, is it built for like if you start on Storygraph, accidentally went back to Goodreads for a little while, and now need to yeah, I have to just delete everything and I'm good to go.
Nice. Oh, The Initial Insult by Mindy McGinnis is a retelling of House of Usher too. I really
Ooh, I
like
love Mindy McGinnis.
I haven't read that one.
Amazing. I just finished reading Hyde, which was great. And now I'm caught in this like I fall into reading slumps a lot and then end up feeling really guilty about it because like I will be the first to tell you that like, oh, if you want to be a writer, you have to read. And then turn around and I'm like, I haven't read a book in like 2 months.
Not 2 whole months, Eric.
It feels like sacrilege because I'm like I'm strutting around being like, you have to read, and then I don't. But yeah, I only have like 10 books left on my shelf because I'm packing to move, but I don't know what to get into next. Someone tell me what I should read next, please.
Have you read Delilah Green Doesn't Care?
No. What is that? Have you
It's
told
good.
me about
It's
it?
a rom-com. Sapphic rom-com. You'll like it.
Okay. Maybe I'll pick it up.
What else have I read lately? I loved The Hacienda. I thought that one was great.
You just talked about that,
good.
didn't you? What was that again?
Yeah. It's Rebecca meets Mexican Gothic.
Ooh, yes, I
And
remember
it
you
like
saying
perfectly lived up to those comps.
that. Amazing.
I finished Legends and Lattes last night. That was delightful.
Yes.
Kelly, I finished the Obelisk Gate like a few
Ooh.
days ago. Yeah, like my library hold finally came. It was like it came in towards the end of our last readathon, and I was like in the middle of a bunch of other books, and so I had to let it like expire. And so it finally came back around. It's so good. And now I have to wait like 12 weeks for book 3 because I was stupid and didn't put a hold on it earlier.
Oh.
I was like halfway through book 2 and I was like, oh shoot, I gotta put a hold on book 3 because I know it's gonna be a long list. It's so good.
Ooh, and Griswold, what's that one called? And there
And-
were none retelling. That sounds good.
Jada says
That's not the
You guys-
Goldie Moldavsky one, is it?
we made Jada feel guilty for not reading enough.
No.
Oh, that was not the intention.
Definitely don't feel guilty
I'm so
because I'm
sorry.
sitting here very quiet for a reason because I think I've read 2 books this year. It's been a very long year.
I was being very sarcastic, like ribbing
Yeah.
Erin about not reading for 2 months. Not at all.
Yeah, I feel like with everyone, you have like ebbs and flows, you know, like sometimes be like, oh yeah, I read 5 books in 4 weeks, and then it'll be like 4 months of nothing, or more,
And
you know.
Yeah, it's like you always plan with good intentions. You're like, so, I mean, I know I haven't been around, these parts for very long, like recently, but like this time last year, I broke my leg. I was like, I'm going to be out of work for a few months, like recuperate. I'm going to read so many books. I checked out so many books from the library, like ebooks, and decided life got in the way. And I just didn't get to them. I didn't get to read them. They're still on like my favorite list, so I can eventually get to them. But the intentions are always there. Like I am literally every week I am checking something out from the library. Whether or not I read any of it is going to be up for time to see if I actually am able to put some effort into it.
Audiobooks are the reason I can read as many.
Yeah, I'm intimately familiar with the Back to the Library Walk of Shame with the book that came out 3 weeks ago that was due 1 week ago.
I really appreciate that my public library doesn't do overdue fines anymore, but it just like enables me to just hold on to books that I know I'm not going to get around to. I'm like, if I just keep this for like 1 more week, I'll get to it. Then it's like 3 weeks later. I'm like, I've got to give this up.
Nope.
There was one book I did the cheat with my Kindle where I was like, my hold was going to expire the next day. And I'm like, I'm not even halfway through it. And for some reason, this book has got me hooked enough to where I'm like, I'm constantly reading. It was The Love Hypothesis. And I put my Kindle on airplane mode so I could finish reading the book.
You can't take this back.
To my knowledge, it's a victimless crime. As the next person does not, to my understanding, have to wait. They still get their copy.
Right. Yeah.
So
because the library still sees it as being returned.
Life hack.
So, but then again, it's complicated too because it's not like you're stealing. I don't know. I felt better about it in a way because I'm like, in order to use my Kindle again, I have to turn the Wi-Fi on. So
it's not like you're holding on to it for like weeks illegally.
You're just buying yourself a little more time.
It was an extra day, I think. It was like a day and a half because I flew through that book pretty quickly.
But yeah,
I love when you're like addicted and can't put a book down. It's my favorite feeling.
I was gonna say, like, if I was just like physically reading books or even reading ebooks, I would not read.
I do
like I wouldn't even read. I wouldn't even. Yeah, I would. I this year would have read like maybe 5 books total at this point. Like it's audiobooks. Put them on like
which are books,
speed.
but game changer.
Yeah, because it's just like your life gets busy. Like I don't have enough time to sit down and read a book always. So
yeah, I have a very difficult time focusing, and so if I'm able to do something with my hands while I'm reading, then I am able to focus much more on what's happening in the book and come away remembering more than if I had tried to read it in print.
I think in general, as a group, we can give off the impression that individually we're reading more than we are. Because like we're talking about books, there's always one other person who's read the book, but there's other people sitting there being like, I don't read this book. And so like, and we're all just like throwing a lot of books out there all at once, and it can seem like we're all just reading all the time. But
well, there's
so many
there's just 9 of us.
So, like, if any of us are reading all the time, that person is not in a great headspace. Like, that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. I mean, Rachel a little bit, but
Rachel doesn't watch TV. So.
Yeah, exactly. She makes us all look bad.
Jada had mentioned, and we try to do this sometimes, us listing books in the comments. And I don't know if Storygraph has this feature, but Goodreads does. We should have like a list.
I feel like Megan had often put them in the
Usually someone reminds me, and then I frantically I'm like, everyone type in the private chat.
When we remember, we put them in.
Yeah. In the description, right?
Yeah.
I do love the idea though, if we could make like a Storygraph shelf that's like books we've recommended in the chats, that would be really fun.
I'd like voting. I'd love to like vote on the ones that I've read, and you can see which ones are like the most popular within the Word Nerds, and that might give us some book club hints.
It's a fun idea.
Yeah, I love that.
Hopefully we can outsource this to an app rather than us having to pay attention.
Because it's hard when we're like in the midst of chatting and talking, like for everybody to remember to like type up every book. You know, it's just we do try to do it, but it's hard when we're like listing off books.
We often fall short.
Yeah. Because like sometimes 5 minutes later, I'm like, I don't remember what book I just read.
Yeah, no. Andrew Walker says, I feel like they've encouraged me to read a lot more than I normally would. Yay! There's a lot of books I would literally never have read if we hadn't been reading it for a writer's club, or sorry, the book club. Because like I need to be forced out of my genre. Like if it's not fantasy horror, I like cling to it, and I'm like, no, it's a romance book.
Yeah, have there been some that you like haven't read and remember at book club? And like, Erin would have really loved this. She should have just read it. She should have just.
I know. It's hard because, like I said, I will get into a reading slump and not even read the books that I want to read that I have on my list. But like there are a lot that I read for our group, and then was like, oh, I really liked this. I didn't expect to like this, so. It's good. It forces me outside my comfort zone.
Did you read Evelyn, Hugo?
I did.
That was the main one of like.
I couldn't remember if you had read it.
Yeah.
Well, there's some
You didn't
that
read it in time for book club, but I
No, I
remember you
didn't.
read it like a year later, and you were like, "This was really good."
We were like, we know.
It's because you guys like came after me and were like, you need to read this. And I was like, fine. And it was good. Yep.
Yeah, I want to play around. I have my last week of classes for this semester is this week. And then I want to play around even more with Storygraph and see, like, could we make a Word Nerds account? Like, could we?
That's what I was just thinking, just poking around in it a little bit. I think it would be cool to have like the main Word Nerds account to kind of facilitate some of the books itself, but then like have all of us add our own comments to like that actual structure of
Yeah,
like the
that'd be
actual
fun.
book club. I think it'd be awesome.
We've all joined
Or
in
even-
the read.
Yeah, even if we can't make a separate account, like I know Goodreads had like groups and stuff.
Yeah,
so if you make, like
yeah.
a Word Nerds group. How about that?
Yeah, because like
Book
for
club.
our viewers in particular, I'd love to see what everyone is reading.
Mhm.
Like getting Rachel onto Goodreads was one of my like
Game
biggest
changer.
achievements.
Yeah.
So, like, I will bypass everything that's been sitting at the top of my TBR list forever if like a bunch of you are like, this is great. I'm like, I'm reading this next. Everything
Yeah.
else.
That's true.
It's more fun when there's people who are in it in the moment with you and can talk about it.
Oh, definitely.
For sure.
Like
I
that's
think
one
it's
of
a
the
big
only
part of what we lost when like there aren't the like big titles in YA or whatever that everyone is reading right when they come out and like discussing them as they're reading them. And
Mhm.
Well, there's still like I don't necessarily think there's like you said as big titles that everyone's reading, but there's a few TikTok obviously in particular that will be like, oh, read this one, read that one, and Hyde was one of them, and it was solely because like people were repeating like the premise of it. I think one of you told me about it. Might have been Megan, maybe.
I haven't heard of this.
I
Yeah,
really
me
like
either.
Kirsten White. So
Yeah.
it's probably me.
It might have been you, but like just the way you described it, I was like a hide and seek in a theme park with like deadly consequences. I was like, okay. And it took me out of my reading slump that I've been in for a while. So
Yay. I was gonna say something and I'm gonna just sow ultimate chaos and start a buddy read of like one of Aaron's books.
oh no. Don't you dare. No. I'll just have to go underground for that week.
Musical Book Dragon is currently reading Hyde.
Yes. It's so good.
Doesn't look like Storygraph has the features we need yet.
Mm.
I
It
know
has
we
the
can
buddy.
recommend them.
Because yeah, a group would be perfect.
Mhm.
We'll figure something out.
Oh,
Goals for the future.
It has already been closer to an hour than I thought. This has been fun.
Wow.
Nice.
Wait, so what has everyone else been reading? We haven't even talked about that.
I read the
Or what
Love
have you been
Hypothesis,
watching? If you've been
and that was it.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot.
I have never seen Stranger Things.
Kaylin, you would
Not
love
a
it.
single episode. I find that I definitely fall into that category where it's like, hey, if I'm not reading and I'm not writing, I'm watching the same stuff that I always watch over and over again because it's like my brain doesn't want to take in new stuff. My husband and I started watching Ozark, and we watch like maybe one or two episodes a night, so we're not like completely binging it because it's not necessarily kid friendly, so we like to watch it after the kids go to sleep. I think we have like 6 episodes left, so I'm trying to talk him into making Stranger Things our next.
Stranger Things feels like such a Kaylin show.
It
now that
really
you mention
does.
it.
Oh
It's
my
very
gosh.
good.
It really like I've been wanting to watch it, but I'm like I know it's too scary for the kids, so
Yeah.
that's definitely going to be. I'm watching it next, regardless. But I want it to be like something that we watch together because my husband and I we have very different tastes, so we're trying to find like some common ground where it's like okay, he's been listening to audiobooks, and the pardon my French, jerk has read more books than me this year.
Rude.
He read all the Hunger Games. He's read the prequel for the movie that's coming out. I have not touched that one yet. He said it's really good. He's all the Harry Potters multiple times. Ready Player One, Ready Player Two. Like he's really into fantasy and like sci-fi fantasy.
He would
But
like
he's
Stranger
legit.
Things then.
I think
You guys
so.
should
I think so too.
definitely- Yeah, you guys would both like it.
He says that we watched the first season together, and I'm like, I have never watched a single episode yet. He
Maybe it was
swears
just
that
him.
we did, and I swear that I haven't. So one of
Yeah,
our
so,
memories is not holding up.
You should try Abbott Elementary for your show.
That's on my
with
list.
Disney.
Yep.
It's
Isn't that a Michael
so
Schur?
fantastic.
I think he was involved in
It's
it.
Quinta Brunson.
Okay.
Made it. Yeah, it is so good. I've watched a lot of TV that I've loved this year, and that is very up there on the list.
Gotcha. But I definitely think that TV is what is helping me kind of like disconnect a little bit. So I'm kind of holding on to that. And I haven't seen anything new, like even movies, like TV. Like I haven't been reading a lot, haven't been writing a lot, haven't been watching a lot of new stuff. So now that I have some time to like really focus on like what do I want to be when I grow up, I'm gonna try and also focus on creativity and things that spark joy, and watching TV and books is definitely going to be very high on that list. I need to prioritize.
So,
feel like you would probably like Yellow Jackets.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Is that an Amazon original?
No, it's on
It's
Showtime.
Showtime.
Yeah. So it's annoying because you have to get
So
another thing
good.
if you already have it.
Is it Christina Ricci in that?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Gotcha. I've seen the
so
previews for
good
that.
in that show.
it is so good. Melanie Linsky. Oh my god, it's so good. I realized today the new season of Rutherford Falls is out, which I'm excited about. It's a Peacock show.
Is that Sean William Scott? Is that the one that he's in? Maybe not.
It stars Ed Helms.
That's who I'm thinking of then. It helps.
Uh,
I know Sean William
Anna
Scott has a
Schneid.
show out because I was like, oh, hey, it's that guy. But I can't remember what it was called though.
Yeah.
The new season of Only Murders in the Building has started, and it's just as good as season one. I'm so happy.
It is.
Watch
It's
that
so
one
good.
yet.
It's so good.
that
I
wasn't
saw
really
some,
until
like-
the last episode, so I'm a little.
Interesting.
I
keep
saw some
getting
like
recommended
extra
it.
characters were added that had me questioning whether I'd enjoy
I know it's like there's two actors that I do not like very much, but they both were in like they weren't in like episodes 3 and 4 so far. So that's
What is
okay.
this
So-
movie? What is this show about?
So it's Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, which are like the perfect trio
Okay.
together.
Okay.
But they live in this like they aren't playing themselves; they're playing these other characters. But anyway, they live in this like historic apartment building in New York City, and they all three of them are obsessed with like true crime podcasts.
Okay.
And then a murder happens in their building, and so they're like, "We should start a podcast trying to solve this murder in our building."
That
So
sounds
the podcast is about
really
only
funny.
murders that happen in their building.
Yeah, so they call it
Oh my
Only Murders.
That sounds kind of amazing.
It's
I'm not
really
gonna lie.
funny.
Okay. All right. That'll go on my list too, with all the other things on my list. Oh man.
Ooh, Andrew Walker read A Darker Shade of Magic and watched Heartstopper. Heartstopper was another very good one.
I started reading the comic about 2 weeks ago because I heard that, like, I saw that it was a show or a movie, I think, and then I saw that it's a comic, so I started reading those, and then I lost track of the website that I went to actually read them. So I think I'm just gonna have to rent the volume.
First
Or
summer
borrow
was
the volume.
cute.
You can also download the Webtoon app, and it'll save your place if
Oh,
you want
gotcha.
to.
What is Resident Alien? Misty Kate has asked that, and
Alan Tudyk.
I've seen a lot of previews about that, and it's definitely a show that I'm like, I want to watch that, and I never got around to actually watching it.
We watched the pilot, and we feel really bad about like if it's not amazing right from the get go. And pilots are typically less good than other, like the rest. It's
of it.
not a good representation of a show as a whole because they don't know they're going to get made. It's just kind of throwing it out there.
And Griswold has asked, "What's the premise?" And I would like to know too, if anyone can explain.
Alan Tudyk is an alien.
That's
Also
it.
a doctor in a town. I've only seen the pilot, and it was a while ago.
Okay.
The gist that I get from the trailers is that he's the alien, and he's just trying to pass off as an alien around humans, and he makes fun of humans a lot. But it's funny. Like, it looks like it's kind of like that quirky. But I think I might also be bringing in like Firefly vibes that aren't there. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh. Interesting. Man, there's so many shows, and like this is like such a first world problem, but I also have like access to a lot of shows, like, because whenever there's a great show, we're like, oh, we gotta sign up for Prime or whatever, and we're also like, this is probably legal, but like we are borrowing other people's Prime and other people's
like our family and friends for.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Signing into family and friends streaming services. So anytime there's a new show, I'm like, well, I have access to that too. So I guess I will add it to the very long list.
I'm making a pretty good dent. Like, I've gotten all the way down to like, oh, I wanted to watch the new season of The Great because I remembered liking season 1. I got through that. Like, that was really good. I don't know that it was like Emmy's good.
I haven't finished season 2 yet. It's like, I feel like the show itself, I have some critiques about, but I do think that Elle Fanning and Nicholas Hoult are amazing in it.
They're very charming.
So I agree with them being nominated, but I am okay with the fact the show wasn't nominated.
Yeah.
I think I actually had a friend who pointed this out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think that explains some of my issues with it. She was like, it should be 30-minute episodes. They shouldn't be
absolutely.
And I was like, that's the problem.
That's why it takes me forever to watch them, because I'm like, I don't want to spend 10 hours watching this.
And some shows I like watching long episodes, but that one does not feel like one that,
because it's a comedy.
Yeah.
And comedies typically are not an hour each.
Mm-hmm.
Another problem is that I feel like I'm often so behind on shows that it will end before I get a chance to start it. And either the ending is spoiled, not all the time, but more often fans will not like the ending and they'll be vocal about it. And I will be like, so now it's not like that happened with Game of Thrones, and it happened with what's it called? The one Villanella is in.
I stand by both of those. Not worth finishing.
Yeah, well, it happened with both of them, and I went, well, I was gonna watch particularly the second one, and then maybe it's not worth it now, you know.
Maybe if you know going in, you know.
Yeah,
I could say I definitely understand what you're saying, Erin. Especially like if I bring in Supernatural, like the ending, personally, not a fan of the ending, but it didn't take away from all the enjoyment that I got in the freaking 15 seasons like before that. But yeah,
I got super
Game of Thrones did ruin every other season for me.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting to see people like who weren't watching like a final season as it came out, like them go back and like watch the whole show and what they think. Cause like I have a friend who
changes things.
Yeah, I have a friend who like watched Game of Thrones for the first time like a few months ago. And she was like, I really enjoyed it. Like she's like, there's some things I would change about the ending, but like I enjoyed the show. Where I feel like the anticipation of waiting for the end makes it even worse when the ending isn't good.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but in that case, like feeling rushed at the end would feel worse. That like you got here in like a month. How did this happen?
I think that's how I'm feeling about Stranger Things, because I know that like the next season isn't going to be out for like another year or two. So I'm like, okay, do I try to watch it now? Or do I wait till we get closer to that time so I could just like blend right into the new season? I don't have to wait.
I vote watch it now, rewatch when the other, because then you can enjoy it again. That's what I do.
I mean, TikTok, the Chrissy Wake Up song is literally in my head, rent free, and I've never seen this show before ever, and it's like the song is just not.
They did say
won't turn off.
They said that season 5 won't take as long as season 4 did.
They said it's 2024, I think, is when it's coming out.
Are they going to give Will a different haircut? Because I can't with that.
No,
what has he done to the wardrobe department?
Oh, right?
I think they have to ride this out all the way down.
Why did I hate him so much in the wigs department?
I love it.
Didn't somebody say something like the next season is going to be a time gap? Maybe, I don't know. I heard something about that. I don't know if it was like somebody making like
I feel like I heard there was a time gap, but I don't really see how they
don't yet.
could have a time gap.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
think
it's a bit of a
it's officially
cliffhanger.
announced.
Yeah. I've been really, this year for me has been a year of really enjoying online fandoms in a way that I have not since I was very young. Like, it's been really fun. I've gotten more cool with just letting TV storytellers tell the story they want to tell and just being like, oh, that was fun. And screaming with people online about it. It's been really, really nice. I'm actively contributing to like 3 different fandoms online. It's really fun.
Emmy says, I saw an interview and apparently Will is keeping the
Yes!
bowl cut. No! Why? Can you imagine landing the role of a lifetime and them being like, here's your haircut for the whole of the show?
I mean, isn't Millie Bobby Brown like shaving her head all the time? Or was it a hat this time?
That
It's
was a
a-
wig.
It's a wig.
That's
wig.
wild.
So
That was a really
impressive.
good wig.
Yeah, because season
That
1
costume
she shaved her
designer,
head.
Emmy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
season 1 she shaved her head, but this time she didn't.
This time, Will is going to be like, can I just shave my head? We can act. Fine. Please, God.
The Lip Dragon made a sad face, and I don't know if maybe just for the length of time.
The bowl
Are we
cut?
sharing anything that
Or the bowl
isn't,
cut?
if anyone hasn't seen anything?
I don't think there's
I don't think we're spoiled.
other than Will and Eleven are
Other
still
than
alive by
Will
season 4.
still having a horrible haircut.
It could be for keeping the bowl cut.
Megan, were you the one that sent the meme of like, musical book dragon says it's the bowl cut, sad face. Were you the one that showed Kyra and I the meme that was like
In the
What-
van scene.
What
what
Mike
you
saw?
saw from the other side? It's like a thumb with a symbol on top or something. I can't remember. Oh my God.
Yes.
Kaylin, I haven't seen it either. You're not alone.
You can look up pictures of the bowl cut.
Oh,
Yes.
I
No,
know
I'm
the
fully aware
characters.
of everything that happened. I let
Yeah,
just
I'm
take
aware
better skills,
enough.
I'm into it. It's fine.
We are waiting for Kyra is for sure watching it. It's like up on her list next. And as soon as Kyra's done, we'll do a full chat on it.
I want to do a full chat at some point on the thing that everybody else has already seen so long ago that I was so late to the party on Princess of Power, the Princesses of Power. She-Ra, sorry, my brain is not providing me.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
it.
I've seen a
What?
bit of it.
I thought I was like the only one
I
that
haven't seen anything.
I need to get better at watching
Des
animated
has
stuff.
definitely seen it. By that, I assume Helen has seen it.
Guys, it's so gay. and
It's
you
so
can
good.
all watch it. It's so good. I love Catra with all of my heart.
I'm shocked. No, it's so good.
Oh, it's so good. Yes.
I know Leah likes it too, I'm pretty sure.
We need to. You guys need to watch this.
I would be remiss if I didn't just remind everyone that Our Flag Means Death is still on HBO Max. You know, just if anyone wants to go watch it, they're filming the next season in October. So
Okay. I want to rewatch that before
I rewatch it
it comes out
like every week.
constantly.
Maybe like we could do a chat of just everyone has a couple minutes to convince everyone to watch it.
PowerPoint night. PowerPoint night.
That would be an amazing PowerPoint night.
Yes.
10-step PowerPoint presentation on why you should watch Our Flag Means Death.
Yes, I will make such a case for why it should be next on people's to be watched, or why you
Ooh,
should.
we could do it in like a battle format. Everyone can come with their own PowerPoint presentation.
We could do it with books too, like why this book should be your next TBR.
Yeah, and just like it'll be like you have to duke it out. Who has the best?
And then, at the
PowerPoint
end, everyone could like say which ones they are actually planning to.
And at the end, people in the comments can be like, "Well, Megan's won me out with her hysterical screaming about Our
With
Flag
her
Means Death."
hysterical crying.
You
I
rank
swear
them
to
in order
God,
of
if
like
you guys
which
don't
how
watch it.
you'll watch them and which ones you will not be participating in.
That would be really fun.
Because I was sitting there thinking of like, I think Aaron is the easiest to be like, okay, it has these things, Aaron will enjoy it.
Yes.
Which is okay.
Predictable, yes.
So like coming up for like an individual, could I find things that I love for each of you? But I feel like I could do it. But also like I'd be heartbroken if you didn't like things. So
And Griswold asks, what is She-Ra about? And I'm going to have a really hard time describing it. I don't know. Look it up. It's good. It's a cartoon. It's about a magical princess of power.
There are princesses with powers.
There's princesses with powers.
Many of them are gay.
It's a fantasy world, and it's set in like a science fiction / fantasy world. And
yeah, it's like this fantasy world where there's princesses with powers, and then there's like another like this like other group from another like planet or something that has
from another
over.
Dimension trying to take over their world. And She-Ra's like, look, I have this sword and it does this thing and I turn into a magical princess.
She is a soldier for the like bad people. And
then it like Sailor Moons her into
it does. Yes, it's very Sailor Moon with a transformation.
So joins the princesses.
And Griswold meant our flag means death. We've made a whole
Megan, go.
It's my time, everyone.
Oh no!
Enough about that.
Watch the other one too.
So Our Flag Means Death is a comedy on HBO Max. It is about very, 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 very loosely based on the historical character of Stede Bonnet, the gentleman pirate, and his exploits when his ship runs into Blackbeards. And so there is a period of time that historians don't really know what happened. They just know that the gentleman pirate, who was very bad at being a pirate, ended up sailing with Blackbeard for a while. And they took that and they were like, you know what? They're going to fall in love. And it's really great. Stars Rhys Darby and Taika Waititi. It's amazing. I've watched it 750 times.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what is the third fandom that you've gotten involved in? Because I know you were deep into Yellow Jackets. Our Flag Means Death.
Yellow Jackets, Our Flag Means Death. Deep into What We Do in the Shadows TikTok, and Stranger Things also.
Excellent.
Similarly to Erin, like came to What We Do in the Shadows late. I watched it about a year ago, I think. My husband and I like watched it, maybe less than a year, and like I'm obsessed. If this season goes where I think it's going, I'm gonna be feral.
I know. I really, really think it's going there, but I hope they don't go there too fast. I want to see character B pining.
I want
at least one season.
Whole season of pining.
Yes, it's what that character deserves.
I think I know what you're talking about, even though I'm very early in season 1. I do know what you're talking about.
I love that show so much.
It's fantastic.
Like I think it could be easy for the like mockumentary style comedy to like get overdone because like it has been pretty popular in recent years, but like I feel like What We Do in the Shadows is just like very fresh.
Yeah.
It's like it's a mockumentary, but they're vampires.
so good.
And the movie it's based on is a bit older as well.
Yeah, I still need to watch the movie. I haven't seen it.
I really like the movie.
The
I
movie's
read it and couldn't get into
anywhere.
it, so that's why I haven't watched it.
It's not as funny as the show, though. I think.
I liked it. I
watched the movie with Matt, who was actively not enjoying it, which is making me just
actively
I went into it with the understanding that they improvised like that whole movie. And so that like changed the way I viewed it.
I don't know though if you don't like the movie, I don't know if you would like the show though either.
I'm good for the show without Matt.
Yeah, because it feels like it's not
They're
the same,
different.
but it's not the same, but it's the same offbeat humor. You know what I mean? Like, excuse me, it's like along similar lines. I felt like.
Yeah, I had heard from like the internet because I watched the show first. They were like, "Oh, if you like the show, the movie's not as good," and so that did lower my expectations a little. But I quite enjoyed the movie.
I think both were great, but
yeah,
different.
So Ann Griswold says, "I'll watch one episode of each and report back." Which makes me think, like I've said this before, that for New Year's, Matt and I usually do pilot nights where we'll watch like pilots of a bunch of shows and pick what we're going to do next. It'd be fun to do like a Word Nerds pilot night where
that would be really fun.
First episodes on our own time and then come back and
discuss. That's a good idea. Ooh, I like that. I like homework when it's like sit down and watch a show. Take notes. Yeah, Andrew Walker says gay pirates. Yeah.
Gay pirates.
Yeah. It feels like there's a lot of more gay content than there ever has been. So
Yeah.
it's pretty exciting. I don't know
something. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say Kayla says Killjoys. I don't know what show. I've heard of that show, but I don't know what that is.
Sci-Fi Bounty Hunters.
Ooh, yes.
That sounds fun. I want to know about Our Flag Means Death. It is solidly a romance. It does end on a cliffhanger. So know that. And also, we don't meet Blackbeard till end of episode 3, I think it is. I think that's important.
And it has been picked up for season 2. So
and it has been. And the creators have confirmed, like, it is a romance. We're deviating from history. So
so it's been an hour and 10 minutes. I don't know what we're going to be back with next week, but we will be back.
It's just me alone talking about Our Flag Means Death for an hour and a half.
Since you missed the Our Flag Means Death chat like earlier in the year.
Did we do a chat on that? I don't remember doing a whole chat on it.
Because you missed it.
Did we?
Yeah, we did, but you missed it.
Have I said this before? I don't remember either.
I don't remember this.
I distinctly remember us doing it and being like, oh my gosh, Megan can't be here today.
Wait, sorry, for what?
Our Flag Means Death.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
I don't remember that either.
I remember making it.
No, it was Yellow Jackets. Sorry, it was Yellow Jackets.
Okay.
I was like,
Yellow
Yellow Jackets.
I would have missed a lot of things.
It was.
Yes.
It was Yellow Jackets. Your other obsessions in the past.
Yes.
Yes.
I keep forgetting about it because
Kayla says Killjoys is everything Firefly wanted to be, but it's nice to sex workers and everyone is queer. That sounds really good.
Yes, that sounds amazing.
That does sound really good.
Yeah, one of the things we've been talking about during the hiatus while we've been trying to figure out like what is going to bring a lot of joy as we continue moving the channel forward and maybe try spending less time talking about like prescriptive writing stuff and focusing more on like story things that we like and then just our writing and reading experiences. One of the things we talked about was wanting to do some more like PowerPoint night, like just have fun. Let's do a show and tell. What's something cool that you have? Be a bit more chaotic, but hopefully still equally as fun.
I like the idea of going into the rest of the year with just chaos as a theme. I think that's a solid plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, we won't like expect you to read something in a week or anything. We'll try to give you notice and keep track of what you're reading. We'll figure out Goodreads or Storygraph. But I think we're going to call it here for tonight. And then we'll show up next week and it'll be a hoot.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here, everyone.
Yes, we missed you all over hiatus. It was far too long, but hopefully we made good use of the time and good things to come for the channel. But we love you all and we're so glad you're here. So thank you so much for watching all the time and tonight in particular. And we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.